Nice little 12 days. Buck the flower onto trays. You can see here,
This is hospital grade.
I had great mentorship from some very smart, very good people, some true OGs.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Throughout the veg stage, you really want to gear everything in your grow room towards the leaf surface temperature, not the room temperature. Really a labor of love here. Big, healthy mums.
It's me now.
What's up, gang? Here we are at 514 in Montreal. I'm hanging with Patrick Haze, the director of Cultivation. We're gonna learn what it takes to bring the beautiful cannabis to life that they do.
Happy to have you guys, happy to show you around, really excited to. I've been in the cannabis industry for about the last 8 or 9 years, and I've been a grower for the last 7.
How old is this spot?
Great White North Growers was licensed in 2019. I've been on board with the company since 2022. Yeah, we do quite a few things here.
Yo, you're so steady with that Amnesia Haze. It's become a staple, I know, for a lot of you. It's like the nicest sativa to smoke in the day. That's the thing that you've dialed in on the most, eh?
For sure. We really just focus on cultivating the one strain here. The Amnesia Haze is a beautiful genetic that we just get to do right. Luckily, growing one strain, you get to hone in on it, you get to dial it in, you get to make sure it's perfect. So we just get to make sure we put out that one product we do real well.
It's 514, but this is also Great White North Growers. You guys have a couple things going on.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of an insight. We've got Great White North Growers Inc. is the company, and 514 Cannabis is our in-house brand of products we make here in-house. Notably the Amnesia Haze and the SATIVA X30 pre-rolls. Just took home 3rd place for the pre-rolls, and the sativa flower at the Karma Cup this year, 2025. Super excited about that. The team did a great job on that. That's our 514 side. As for Great White North Growers, we do packaging and distribution for about 25 to 30 other brands. We really believe in helping bring people to market. You know, there's a lot of licensing and regulation that's involved with cannabis, and we get the lucky pleasure of bringing a lot of good growers' product to market when they don't have to deal with the extra headaches and loopholes. But we can't grow all the good stuff ourselves. We can focus on what we do right, and then everybody else gets to kind of put something else that's a little different, but a little special to the market, so.
You guys whip with that streamline, so it's nice to give those people that opportunity. That's huge. We are in the building that it takes place in, but we're gonna do something really cool today where we're gonna show you step by step the journey that cannabis takes before it ends up on the shelf and then in your lungs. So will you take me to where it all starts with? Is it the mother room?
Yeah, so we're gonna head to phase 1 to the mother room. So this is phase 1. Really, Great White North Growers started with just the phase 1. They went through a couple of things for growing. It didn't necessarily work out, which caused them to pivot. That's when they became a packaging company. And then we found the Amnesia Haze. We've been growing it since, so come take a look. At Great White North Growers, everything's environment controlled. We control every aspect of the room. Come see.
So they're little babies. They're little tiny babies in this room.
You got it. So basically we've got mothers over here. We have different mother batches. We like to regenerate our mothers often. The mothers that we do have in the back here, one batch is about 3 months old and one batch is about to end its life cycle at 4 months old. Then we come over here. Our mothers don't like to be in light 24 hours a day. So in order to have a consistent crop every time put out to market, we take clones from mother plants to have genetic replicas. Basically, every clone in this batch, once rooted, will be an exact replica genetically of its mother. And that's how we ensure that every jar that we put out on the market is the same Amnesia Haze flower time and time again.
So instead of cracking seeds every time you grow a new one, because there's 1,000 different ways that could manifest, you are taking like the same tissue sample and like replicating it.
Over and over again so that it flowers out the same way, and we can ensure that we have the same consistent product that's sold to you every time.
Little snippet of some of this, like what's this called, this little root?
We have a plant like this. We'll take a cutting somewhere around here. We'll clean this cutting up. We'll plant it over here in a Rockwell cube until it roots. Once it roots, this is basically its own new plant now.
Wow, and then so those little roots end up sparkling up, and then you put it in a bigger thing of Rockwell? Or?
Exactly. So we do the propagation from cloning. They root in about 14 days. And then from there, we do our pre-veg stage. Pre-veg is about 12 days where we plant them into a bigger Rockwell cube to grow a bigger, more robust plant, foliage and root zone, so that it takes off even better when we plant it into its final pot in veg. He started to root through already. We'll have some nice little roots sticking through the bottom of the cube. And then yeah, a nice little 12 days. And then they're off to the races in the next room.
What are these giant plants behind us here?
Are the ladies that we take all of our clones from. We have 2 batches because we're ramping up production. We've been expanding for about the last year and a half, and our production has hit a point where we need a certain amount of mothers. Realistically, we're gonna take 1 more batch of clones off these mums. They're a little big, and they've reached the end of their life cycle. Nice, big, healthy mums give nice, big, healthy clones, which give nice, big, healthy plants that we can send out to flowers.
So we just checked out the mother room. What's the next step?
Next, we're off to the veg room.
And now we're in the veg room, and I'm different. Patrick, what can you tell us about the veg room?
Yeah, so after the little plants that we just saw in pre-veg, you can see here that we've taken our Rockwell cube, we've used our lovely Canna Cocoa Flex that we've expanded as a dehydrated cocoa block into a full 2-gallon Cocoa Flex bag. We plant on top, and now we're doing our veg stage where we do an additional 12 days of veg in here to get the plants ready, and then we also flip them into flower. So throughout the veg stage, we're gonna slowly start making it harder on the plant, and we're gonna slowly start ramping up the stress that we're giving the plant, the amount of light we're giving the plant, the drybacks we're giving the plant, in order to really start gearing that plant up for flowering. It's like every day we try to push them a little bit more based on what they can handle. We've grown the Amnesia Haze for a while, so it's pretty much just a set and forget it kind of schedule.
Is there anything that could disrupt that?
There's always a few things. No plant is the same, so as much as we do cloning and we do everything we can to limit the differences from batch to batch, sometimes there will be plants that are not as productive. We also do extra amounts of plants at every stage to avoid that and pick the best plants. I would also say just general equipment. All equipment can fail. It's really the one soft spot of any cannabis grow is that realistically, if people aren't checking to make sure that all of your equipment is doing what you think it's doing at all times, stuff does break, and that can cause a little bit of a deviation. But usually, you know, we have a great crew here that's on top of everything, so we tend to avoid any kind of complications.
Is there ever like an audible where day 12 comes around and you're like, nope, they're not ready?
It's happened, but realistically, in a production space, we can only really budge 1 to 2 days. Everything's so tightly calculated that there isn't much of a window to really change stuff out. That's why we have to do as much as we can in every stage of the plant's life to ensure that we're getting the most consistent and the highest quality plants. We can go 1 or 2 days on either side of like our planned dates for things, but that's really the extent that we can change it without really messing up every other aspect of the business, right?
Do you talk to the plants?
I would say I do to a certain degree.
Yeah?
There's definitely a little bit of hippie stuff. I would say that most of what I do is science-based.
Cool, I respect that.
Don't enjoy the plants and you don't kind of love what you do, I think you're kind of in the wrong business, right? Our plant's all water based on an automated schedule. We have solenoids that open, pumps that push water from a fertigation room. And then basically in every room we have these irrigation lines. Irrigation lines are set up with drippers. And then those drippers are what actually deliver water and nutrients to the plants. We water our plants based on weight. So what we do is for the majority of our plant's life, someone is physically in here picking up the plant, putting it on a scale and weighing it to see what the dryback is so that we get a very specific dryback. It's really the most accurate and efficient way to irrigate plants. And we have the time and the manpower, so it's something we do to ensure that we get the best possible crop.
That's awesome. Is there anything else we need to know about the veg stage?
I don't think so. It's pretty good.
That was the veg stage, everybody. Now we're on to
the flowering stage.
Whoa, bud! These are some crazy buds. So it went from that to this, and how long?
This is, we're on the final stretch. We're at day 58 in here of 63 days. I mean, you can see the nugs are spectacular. We're clearly rounding senescence. Senescence is like the final ripening where like, you know when you see autumn colors?
Yeah.
That's senescence. It's basically the plant getting flushed by too much water and there's not enough nutrients in the soil. During fall, the plants start pulling nutrients through the leaves, and then that's what causes the colors to change. It's really the pulling of nutrients to the plant to support the plant's like conversion so it survives through winter.
It goes white light, warm light, hard light. Are those controls, or what is that with the sprinkled in red in there?
So basically, LEDs are made with diodes. So there's individual diodes that emit certain wavelengths or light levels. What we can do with an LED is we can tailor the spectrum to specific genetics. So I can play around with how the spectrum is, how much red, how much infrared, how much blue, all of that stuff I can play with in the spectrum. We're doing a lot of things to kind of stress the plant out and really help it ripen and finish up. And yeah, this is what it looks like. I mean, you can see the amount of grease coming off of these nugs on our fingers. It's absolutely unbelievable.
This is crazy. Like, they're just huge colas and they're bursting. So what's the process of getting them from that to this? Like, what did it take? 1 minute, they're small, and what, 3 weeks later, 2 months later, a year later? I'm kidding. What happened?
So we're at week 5, we've got nugs starting, we've got like some really nice sugar coming in. The trichomes are really starting to form. And really at this point, as I mean, you can see how greasy my fingers are just from touching that. As these start to form, the smell kind of changes over the course of the plant's life. So like right now, it's got a real sweet lemoniness to it, almost candy-like.
That's why I asked if they were teenagers. That's a weird thing to say.
Crop is 102 days basically. We clone pre-veg, veg, like those processes you saw. Then when we flip into flower, we do 63 days of flower with this genetic. In the last few weeks, we're dropping temps. We defoliate a little bit, try to really get proper airflow, increasing the pressure that we're giving the plant, steering the plant in a certain direction so that we can get the peak performance of this specific genetic. All of our air distribution is done with plastic ducting. So that we can throw it out at the end of the crop and put brand new clean ones in.
Nice.
That allows us to have a level of cleanliness in the room that isn't possible with, like, let's say the steel conduits for the AC ventilation. We want to make sure that everything is the same color, consistency, and plumpness. We want to make sure all those nugs are ripe all the way down through the plant. If it looks too pretty at the end, I don't think you pushed it as hard as it could go.
I feel like I could eat off the floor in here, bro. This is so clean.
You could.
How does this happen? This is hospital grade.
We sweep them up every single cultivation room once a week. It's mandatory. We do a tour of every single room at least once a week. Wow. Whenever there's work done in any of the rooms, we also sweep them off the floor as well as clean the tables. But when you go to a hospital has a certain level of sanitation procedure, and they require that you do an ATP swab test in order to show the level of bacteria or the amount of bacteria on a surface. So when we do a room sanitation, in order to be sure that the next batch we're putting in is gonna be good for the next 63 days, we do swab tests on multiple locations throughout the room, and we adhere to the same standards as the hospital operating room. So basically, if we hit above a certain level of bacteria count, which is RLU, on, let's say, a table or a wall, we re-sanitize the room to be sure that it is 100% clean so that we can grow the best, cleanest possible crop at the end.
Yes, that's how we represent on a global scale for weed.
No pesticides, nothing, just clean grow, proper setup, good staff, you know?
Yeah, you got a good team going on here. Okay, can we go check out what happens to it before we can smoke it?
Of course.
The drying room. It smells like a drying room.
It definitely does. So I mean, this is the nice room where we hang dry all of our plants. Real simple, we use trellis netting, where we break down the plants when they come in here to more manageable, hangable sections of the plant, and then we hang them on these nettings. All of these nets will be cut down and rechanged for the next crop, part of the sanitation procedure. Once it's down, we bucket onto racks. Once it's on racks, it finishes a little bit of a dry, and then we start curing in here. Once it's finished the cure, we will then trim it. We've got some buckets here that you can kind of take a look at. We've got trims and sorted cannabis. This is all separated by hand. It's all sorted by hand. As you can see, we've broken it down. Sorting the flower allows us to package it more easily. It allows us to really know what we have and how we can kind of use it. We have a certain level of small flower that we call like minis that we kind of just take out and sell as shake, because we really don't want any kind of shake or really larfy garbage nugs in our pre-rolls or in our product. So this whole sorting process allows us to really remove that out and make sure that there's really nothing but good quality products. And the larges for those quality 3.5s. So we've got our nice medium nugs here, all trimmed up, ready to go. And good sized nugs in all of your 3.5s and pre-rolls. Larges here, where you can see.
Wow. Whew.
You can see we don't trim completely naked. For us, we leave a little bit of the sugar leaf on.
The sugar leaf is like the bodyguard.
Pretty much.
And how do you stop yourself from taking it all home?
Because that's illegal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So that's how you grow cannabis in a couple of not so easy steps. But can you take us back to the very beginning? What do you feed them?
Of course, let's go to fertigation.
And now we're here at fertigation. Patrick, guess what?
What?
I don't know what fertigation means.
Fertigation is a nice little name for basically where all of our water irrigation control happens. We have the incoming water that comes through a UV filter and a sediment filter. We're lucky on the island of Montreal. We have very good water. It's very consistent, so we don't need to treat it more than that. From there, we have a holding tank. We dose our tanks with certain nutrients. In order to feed plants properly, your nutrient or water solution needs to be at a certain pH range so that when you are watering the root zone stays within a certain pH range in order to have the optimal absorption of all nutrients. What we do in order to do that is we have a nice little barrel of pH down, which is phosphoric acid, and we inject that using dosatrons. Dosatrons are these lovely units that basically, using the water pressure of just city water, they inject nutrients and mix it into the water so that we can then dose accordingly every single time. What we have here is a preset line of dosatrons that dose with our pH down and the good faithful Canna A, Canna B, and that's it. We have tanks that sit with a certain nutrient solution in them. We feed the rooms using these tanks with our handy little pumps. We need to add a certain amount of salts in order to adequately feed the plants. The plants are eating the salts, that's their nutrient solution. And it's those salts and that concentration of salts that's gonna stack in the root zone or tell the plant certain hormonal triggers, as well as just give the plant everything it needs to grow healthy and strong. This for us is just pH'd water. We only flush for the last 4 days, and it's really just to push any excess nutrients out of the root zone and really force that ripening. This tank right here is just Canna A and B, full strength. We keep the water agitating at all times. Stagnant water does multiple things. One, in a nutrient solution, like you should always be mixing it for the first 20 minutes anyways, just to ensure that everything is properly mixed. The other reason why we keep it agitating is to ensure that there's not an excessive buildup of bacteria. Basically, a plant has certain hormonal triggers that tell it it's time to do something. Like they tell it, oh, you're supposed to grow vegetatively, or you're supposed to grow generatively, which is like towards flowering. Through these triggers, you're able to stack them so that you can make a plant's life harder, kind of like working out, like when you go to the gym. You're gonna lift weights that are probably a little heavier than you can lift. And in doing that, you're gonna lightly tear the muscle, which allows your muscles to grow. It's that low level of stress that teaches your muscles they need to get bigger. And we're really trying to replicate that with the plants. Like we're trying to create a certain osmotic pressure in the root zone so that the plant has trouble pulling the water, so that it's a challenge to pull the water.
You can't help but notice that something's happening.
Yeah, that's it. Everything's automated in here, right? So the plants need water and they're feeding right now.
They're feeding. Enjoy your feast, little babies.
To Montreal, thank you for hosting us. Thank you for showing us what you got going on. I learned a lot just chatting with you. Any closing thoughts about your journey and what you're building?
I mean, at the end of the day, I think 3 years ago, I stepped in these doors. I knew we wanted to do something, and I think now we're doing it. With the Karma Cup wins, with the expansions, really starting to take over a little bit more, to do a little bit more, to get our share of what we wanted to do. We're starting to accomplish those goals. So it's like, yeah, I'm just super proud to be a part of this team and to be, you know, doing what we're doing. It's not just me. It's not just like, I know I'm the one who gets seen all the time. Patrick Paget's the grower at 514. That's great, but at the end of the day, there's 20 or 25 other people who work here, and
Shout out
they all
Jesse,
make
right?
it. Yeah, Jesse, Marky, Tony, you know, everybody here is a great part of the team, and we all kind of make it work, and we need everyone here. So I think we should all be super kind of proud of what we've done.
I agree.
And you know, you should keep looking for our stuff, because we're just going to be everywhere in Canada. We're going to be on every shelf. We're just going to keep expanding. So, you know,
there's a good energy
look
here.
out for us.
514 to Canada, to the world. Let's go smoke some weed, bro.
That's pretty much it.